Yo, 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 yo. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, you know what time it is. You know what hour, minute, second it is. It is me. It is me. It's that Doogifranchise, yes, sirree, in the place to be. And guess what? I am not alone. I got a guest with me. And this one I've been hyped for. One of the reasons I actually brought back the podcast was to talk to this person who's sitting right next to me right now. And yes, we are also on Cam Time, which means YouTube. You can find this interview there too. And the person with me is a
Jazz coughed.
hold on. That's the name.
Oh,
That's the name. Let me.
damn.
It's you got to build the hype, brother.
I said
You
nothing.
got to actor, songwriter. Oh wait, not just a writer, composer. He plays keys. He plays drums. Oh wait, no, percussions.
Mhm.
I want to be clear, percussions. This is a man. He works with me, and he is known as Jazz Cough.
Hey.
Hey, Jazz, what's up? How you doing?
I'm doing really well. I'm feeling really good about life right now, actually.
Oh, for real? Yes.
Yeah.
I know why. You just did a show.
I did. I played Breaking Sound at the Pink Frog Cafe
That's-
this past Thursday.
That is exactly what you did, and that leads into the first question.
Ask away.
How was that?
It was a lot of fun. First of all, the other performers and their crew, Alison Krauss, Liam Searcy, Madeline Sky, they were all excellent, and so I was really happy to get to be on the same bill as them and to support other upcoming artists that are roughly my age and that in that same like young theater writer cohort. My set, I had a ton of fun. I was definitely stressed in the lead up, like especially the month before.
I've seen you. I've seen the writing process.
Yeah, I mean you've seen me. I showed you lyrics for a song that I was planning to put in the show that I cut 2 days before the show.
Damn.
I didn't do that one, and instead the day before I wrote a whole nother song.
Oh shit. All
Yeah.
right.
because I had the chorus for it. It was going to be called Patriotic Concert. I'm going to keep working on it, but it was just not, the verses were not working for me, at least not right now. And I want to keep working on it someday. But instead, I looked to a different project that I've been in the beginning stages of, but hadn't written any material for, and said, well, I'm going to write a song from this show. And I wound up writing a song called It's Living that's about this baker and how they want their life to be once they have their ideal situation. And I was like, great. I wrote a song that I'm happy with. It goes in the show. I'm doing it tomorrow.
All right, nice. Okay, so let's take us back. Take us back.
Of course.
What journey brought you into writing music and acting and songwriting? Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't
I feel like I've always come at things sideways in the sense that I became an actor because I was a tap dancer first.
you a tap dancer?
Yeah.
Nice. I know a little tap dance, but
Oh, awesome.
I'm not like that's something
Some
not a lot
shuffle
of
ball
people
change.
know.
Some time step.
That's only know the shuffle ball change and maybe some other stuff. But
Maybe,
like,
maybe grab off.
I'm not.
Maybe-
I'm not a super tap dancer.
I know
had to
you're
do-
pulling out those single foot
Because
wings.
when I work with kids, like
Yeah.
I still work with kids, but like the second job I had ever working with kids at a different program, they had to learn tap.
Yeah.
So like they had to learn tap, and then it's weird. By they learning tap, I had to actually learn it just because I had to rehearse with them for a show. So I'm
Yeah.
like,
So you learned how to tap.
yeah. So that's
Yeah.
that's a secret not a lot of people know about me.
Wow.
So
Revealed live.
it's one of those
on the
podcast
podcast.
dance tricks. Yeah.
Yeah. But I started as a tap dancer and didn't really consider myself an actor, especially not a singer. But because I did tap dancing, that led me into theater. Similarly, for the longest time, I would never have called myself a songwriter, especially a lyricist. I thought I sucked with words for the longest time. But I did a lot of a cappella arranging in high school. I was in an all guys a cappella group doing 4-part arrangements for especially like the last 2 years, because all 4 years of high school I was in that group, but the last 2 I did a lot of arranging for it, and so I got really familiar with how to look at the chords in a song, translate that to a cappella in a way that I enjoyed. And eventually also I took music theory in high school, and we had did some light composition there.
That's funny. I took
And,
film theory, so I get
oh,
it.
nice, yeah. And so that led to me just starting to write my own stuff. My sophomore year in college, I we had the Devised project, which was based on the works of Shel Silverstein. My subgroup wound up doing a Little Red Riding Hood section. It was relevant, I promise. Uh, and I wrote like a little Red Riding Hood suite on piano
Okay.
with that one of my other classmates, Olivia Stanley, did narration for. She wrote most of that book, and everyone in my group found the movement for that. And then at some point, I kept bashing my head against the wall with writing lyrics until I became happy with the lyrics I was writing, and now I'm really happy with myself. So that's my journey to being like songwriter composer as I am right now.
Sweet. That's dope. That's funny because that story kind of reminded me of high school.
Really?
Yeah. So I like theater and
Yeah.
film stuff, but one of the funniest thing is like in my was it between senior and junior year? Junior year is when I started doing filmmaking, but like also it led into like the theater stuff at the same time because I read had to read the Scottish play.
Oh, the
I had to
Scottish
read that,
play.
which is
Yeah.
my favorite.
Knackers.
Yeah, and then we had to do a scene.
Yeah.
So we did the scene of the fight between him and Macduff,
Nice.
and then like but you have to recreate the scene. So you have to recreate the scene in your own way in front of the class.
Yeah.
So that means you're not using the dialogue from the play, but you have to interpret the
Yeah,
dialogue.
you're translating it to,
Yeah, so
to
like
modern
it was
language.
so like we had like prop weapons and everything in our classroom.
Oh, that's
I
so
brought
fun.
like this gel toy skull that I had.
Mhm.
So when the king gets beheaded, yeah.
Oh, you
so,
brought
like,
out the gel skull.
So like
oh.
we beheaded it. No, hold on, it gets better. We beheaded him. I had like a T-shirt that I doused in Kool-Aid. So we did the beheading, but like the way it happened was we flicked the lights, and then the person would be laying by the table so that you don't see their body.
That's
and
so
then
clever.
I would pick up like the shirt with the head in it to show that I beheaded him because he has to announce that
Right.
he killed him. So we did that in class, and it was like the perfect because we set up music and everything. So like
That's
we
incredible.
had music playing, we cut, and then it was like the perfect timing because our teacher took a picture. So when we did the head cut, the flash hit and the light went on too in the middle cut.
Oh,
So it
that's
gave
so
like
fun.
we got like perfect grades, and then also we had to do a Midsummer Night Dream, which is another one of
Classic.
my favorites.
It's a fun one.
Favorite character, Puck.
Of course. Yeah,
Puck.
I knew you'd be a Puck guy.
Puck and the Troop. The
Mm,
Troop,
yeah.
because I like the students I work with. We did a Midsummer Night's Dream also, like the same school where I had to learn tap dancing.
Yeah.
They did a Midsummer Night Dream, and that was like my come up year in that building.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this was when I did the improv boot camp. So I had to work with the troupe a lot. So I was like, yo, look, we're gonna do improv because whatever little actions y'all do are gonna steal the show, and it was just a fun time. So that's why I
Yeah.
like your story a lot.
Yeah.
It brings me back. So
Cheers.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you a tough question now.
Okay.
So prepare your top
Shaking in
three.
my boots.
Your top three influences for your work.
Yeah. Number one is definitely Ben Folds.
Okay.
I always have been a huge Ben Folds fan.
You said that.
Yes,
said
on
that.
many
I've seen
occasions.
you say that, and I've seen you flip out when Ben Folds is here.
Yeah,
I missed
so
it.
Ben
So-
Folds came to the show that we're working right now, and I wasn't here. It was one of the few nights I was off, and I was so saddened for like days. I'd like be grumbling in the office saying, Ben Folds isn't here. I miss Ben Folds. Damn. I feel like different influences pop out in different songs for sure. Like I have a song called Out of Towner, which is the most Ben Foldsy song I've written.
Okay.
Being around Jonathan Larson's music recently has really like amped up the Jonathan Larson influence as of late. I've just gone into Margot Guryan's songwriting. She was this like 60s era songwriter. She wrote Sunday Morning that Spanky and Our Gang did. She wrote a bunch of songs from that, and I've really taken a liking to how she writes. So let's put her at number two for the moment, just especially with the way that she approaches structure, especially chordally, but melodically and lyrically as well, but really chordally. I feel like she does what I think is the unexpected thing, which perks me up and makes me want to explore how can I apply that in my writing? Where am I just leaning on my familiar structures? Like I have a lot of jazz with two Z's music background, and like I grew up doing like small combo jazz drumming. That's informed a lot of my stuff, and so I love doing like 2-5-1 progressions. But Margot's writing also, she came from the jazz background first. She went to school for jazz writing, but became a pop writer, and so she uses those 2-5-1s, but breaks them soon. And this also happens in jazz music all the time. You're using 2-5-1s, but you're doing like 2-5, 2-5, 2-5, breaking them in different keys. But she does it in a pop way, which I find really interesting, and I want to apply that in my writing more.
Oh, okay.
So I guess she's a hopeful number 2. I want to pick another. I don't know if I want to pick another theater writer or pop writer for number 3. For some reason, Frank Lesser it comes to mind for the theater side.
Can you give me 2 Frank Lesser songs?
Well, you have Guys and Dolls, which Sit Down You're Rockin' the Boat. If I Were a Bell, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, I'm gonna embarrass myself online and say the wrong Frank Lesser show.
Hey, that's all right.
But How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying gave us like Brotherhood of Man, and I Believe in You, which I think is a gorgeous, fun song. It comes at a really like the show is such a satire, but it's such a beautiful, warming song when J. Pierpont Finch is singing that to himself in the mirror, and then you have all the other office sharks that absolutely hate his guts, and they're like, gotta stop that man, cold. It's so fun to watch like this joyful, youthful optimism against this, I'm gonna rip this guy's fucking guts out, I don't care.
Okay.
So I think I strive to put like that kind of duality in my writing. Like another song that I have, Creature of Habit, is a very, very self-loathing type, self with an F, loathing type lyric. And so I had to make it a banger, because if the song, I don't believe in happy song, sad song. I think that you can have a happy part and a sad part at once. And I think that's what makes some of the most beautiful songs, is when you can pull that off at the same time.
You're learning, okay, you play percussion, you play keys, and you're learning guitar.
I'm learning guitar.
How's that going?
It's a lot of fun. It's completely different structurally from piano and percussion and all that stuff, because like, first of all, like the left hand doing the chords while the right hand is initiating the sounds most of the time. Mm-hmm. I'm used to, if I'm making a chord, I'm already initiating sound. I can't like, I mean, yeah, I can like play above the instrument if we're talking like a xylophone or a vibraphone, but like in the same way that on a guitar, I can just put my fingers on the strings on a chord, not make sound. You can't do that really on like piano or mallets. Like when you press it, you're making sound. So that's been an adjustment. The string layout and like learning the fretboard and where all the pitches go, that's hard for me. I'm still getting there.
Yeah, I know. I dabbled. So,
You've dabbled. You're a dabbler.
Huh? Yeah. I listen. Shout out to Reggie Bennett Jr. Because I work with a music teacher.
Yeah.
So you have, at some point you're gonna find an instrument that you have to pick up. So the one that worked the best for me was the drums.
Cheers.
Thankfully. So, and it's funny because now like we're doing jazz now.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh man, I know a guy who plays jazz. I might have to ask him for some drum chips. So I got so we're doing like the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the yeah. So we're doing that, which is so
swing.
So now I'll probably ask you for some more stuff. I'll bring my practice pad.
Have you talked at all about, and this is a fairly advanced jazz drumming concept, but have you talked about different kinds of swing?
No, not yet.
That's one of the most fun things to think about, and implies I keep thinking about it in my tap dancing too. Whenever I'm like at a dance call, that swings, I'm thinking to myself, how hard is the swing? Because like if we're at this tempo, like this is like a pretty standard swing, or I can really tighten up at the end. 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, and that's considered a hard swing. And then you have like a New Orleans style, like da 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 da, where it's almost even eighths, but there's just the tiniest bit of delay. And this kind of
Super beginner.
yeah.
That's
So
me.
I know I'm throwing a lot at you.
But like that, I can probably play it on the hi hats. If I hear it, like I'm like,
yeah.
like,
But
so, but I have to.
it's a thing that you feel first before you really start to conceptualize. Dillatime. Dillatime is like tangentially related to that. The way that he would offset his snares and hi hats. He was on another level with that, but like you get that sense of there's different places in the pocket and like immediately outside the pocket that can really change the sound instantly.
Send it to me. I would take
sure.
a listen. Okay. All right. So based off all your experiences,
Yeah.
what is your worst moment? And then give me your best.
So there's this place called the Music Inn, and it's this fantastic little venue in the West Village. They're a music store, but on Thursdays
I do know the Music Inn.
You know the Music Inn?
I love the Music Inn.
Isn't it awesome?
I go in there. I jam out in there sometimes. All right. So when we'd have 2 shows at the other theater, I used to go in there, especially if it was on the weekend. If I don't go to the gym, I would go in there and chill out and jam. There's a recording studio in there, right?
I did not.
There's a secret recording.
I forgot.
There's a secret recording studio in there.
That's really cool.
You go downstairs, you go around into the back. There's like a tunnel, and it leads you into a recording studio.
Oh, that's awesome.
There's and I'll show you the dude on my phone. Like he's like the engineer in there, and then it's crazy because like the recording studio looks like super gritty and like a rare mashup of most random stuff that they found.
Of course.
So
So it's an awesome place. They also do poetries on Tuesday now.
Yeah.
I think that's.
I remember them doing Thursday open mics.
Yeah, they still do Thursday for music, Tuesday for poetry.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I haven't gone to a poetry one. And full disclosure, I've only been the one time for an open mic night because my schedule's always been pulling me somewhere else. Every Thursday that I would want to go, I'm like, well, I have to go do this other thing, or I have to work, or I have to go see a friend's show.
That's fair.
But I went to go support a friend of mine, and I'm standing in line like before anyone has signed up for anything, and I'm talking with all these other artists that are going, and I wasn't planning on doing anything that night, performance wise, and I'm like, well, I could go. I have my lyrics on my person. I could maybe review a song. I could, yeah. Why the hell not? That sounds fun enough. And so I picked my song Dejection, which is a song that I've done a fair amount of times, but I hadn't practiced it in a while, and I was still pretty rough on those words, even standing in line. So I'm like studying my notebook because I'm not gonna walk up there with my notebook. I wanted to look professional for some reason. Which that's mistake one, is that I knew I wasn't so good on my words, and I still refused to bring my words up with me.
Damn.
And so I put my name on. I wound up going like second or third, which I was perfectly happy with. I generally prefer to go like early so I can just like get it over with and forget about it. But I'm sitting there. We haven't started yet. One of the guys that works there is playing the piano there, and he sounds really good. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome. Like, I'm not really thinking too much about it because, of course, he's gonna sound good. Everyone's gonna sound good on piano. I also tend to compare my piano playing to other people a lot, and I'm trying to get better about it because I just play the piano like a percussionist. Cool. I don't. Like, again, Ben Folds' influence, because he was a drummer before he was Ben Folds.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously he was still Ben Folds, but you get the picture. And so he plays piano a certain way. He's still a much better pianist than I am right now, but he's also much older than me, so that makes sense.
That's fair.
Anyway, it becomes my time to get up there. And I sit down at the piano. The first thing I notice as I start playing is that the low end keys are much more out of tune than I expected them to be. And I love playing on the low end of the piano. And so I'm like, well, that's okay. I'm going to sound a little out of tune to myself. That's just part of the vibe that happens sometimes. The next thing I notice is how wobbly those keys are. And when I get like nervous, I get a little shaky. And I was already extra nervous because of not being so good on my words. So now I'm shaky at a piano where the keys shake a lot when you shake.
Okay.
And so I just felt like I was dying up there, and I did go up on my words. I think twice. I had to do the na 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 to get through a little, and also I barely knew anyone in that crowd, which I'm so used to playing my stuff for at least like 4 people that I know in an audience, at least.
Damn.
And really I'm used to like knowing like almost the entire audience for like playing in like school events and such, or like, like, oh, it's my classmates' parents. And so here I am, room full of strangers, unfamiliar piano. I think subconsciously I was remembering how good the first guy that sat at that piano was sounding, and I'm like, damn, I'm like courting my way through life, and I can't survive. So that's probably the worst performance I've ever given, I think, at least in recent memory.
Best?
Best, I think, maybe it's recency bias, but Pink Frog Cafe Show was so smooth for me largely.
Nice.
Especially like I did a cover of Soon It's Gonna Rain from The Fantastics, which is a gorgeous song. And I'm singing it, and I'm thinking to myself as I'm singing it, wow, this is really fun and easy. And I feel very comfortable and settled. So it might be that, at least as far as like Jazzkoff, the songwriter, performing his stuff goes.
Okay, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's next?
What's next? I don't know. I have to write stuff. That's what's next.
I'll bet.
I have to actually, and don't you on YouTube's don't steal my idea. You listening, don't no my OC, no takesies.
Gonna have to have you do a whole set on a podcast one day. Just come through, just do a set,
absolutely.
And just chop it
I'm
up.
so game. But a while ago I had the idea to do a musical adaptation of the death of Ivan Ilyich.
Okay.
The Tolstoy, I believe, unless it's Dostoevsky. I have it right here. Let me make sure I get my Russian authors mixed up. Yeah, it was Tolstoy. I was right. I doubted myself, but I was right, because I think that would make a very interesting musical and allow me to explore sounds in a certain way. Dave Malloy has a habit of adapting like classic works, and let's throw him at number 4, Dave Malloy, who I can't listen to too much, otherwise I start to write exactly like him.
Okay.
And I like what Dave Malloy does, and I want to do my own thing tangential. Love you, Dave Malloy, for listening. But
hopefully,
hey Dave. But like, he has Natasha Pierre and Great Comet of 1812, which is from the Tolstoy War and Peace.
Okay.
And that whole musical, I think, is like 80 pages of War and Peace. Just 80 pages it's like this, like, I want to say it was like 2.5 hour long musical. Like, and so I figured that Tolstoy would probably be good for me. And Ivan Ilyich is a much shorter novella. Like, you on YouTube's can see how thin this book is. It's for you just in your ears. It's like 50 pages. It's very, very short, but I think it would make a wonderful short piece. So I think that's what I'm going to work on this month.
All right. Any words of wisdom for any artists and creators out there?
Yeah, I was talking about this earlier because, again, I've been thinking about my jazz influence a lot. When beginner jazz musicians play a wrong note, they let it throw them off track. They go, "Oh, I fucked up," and they stop, and sometimes they get mad at themselves. I've done that. I've in my early years practicing, and I get frustrated. I would make a noise, and my dad would be like, "Hey, don't do that. You're throwing yourself off even more." But the really good jazz players will take that wrong note and make it right, and they'll either like hammer it over and over and like chorally contextualize it so it makes sense, or they'll play a different kind of scale that makes it make sense. So I guess the broad lesson from that is that tiny failures are often opportunities for greater future success.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I respect that. I like that. I like that a
Cheers.
lot, actually. I like that one. Please Give your socials where people can find
Yeah,
you.
you can find me on the Instagram at Jazz Jaz Koft Koft. No punctuation, no nothing. Jazz Koft.
Uh,
I'll have a website soon.
all right.
You'll find that website link on my Instagram. Oh, I have a Substack. I
Okay.
have
Oh, yes.
um,
Sorry about that.
and
And what is it? Explain what a Substack
yeah,
is.
basically Substack is just like a place. It's like the love child of internet blogging and newspaper columns,
Okay.
in the sense that it feels like I'm writing my own news, like magazine column, but it's getting sent through like email or like the Substack app. Um, I'm pretty sure I'm jazz.coft on Substack. It's called the Jazz Stack.
I'll put the link down below.
Please do.
Gotcha.
And I'm writing about songs that I find interesting. Like I've done 2 so far. I hoped to be doing them more quickly, but other things have gotten in the way, and that's okay. But my first one was about New Magic Wand by Tyler the Creator, because the lyric, like, I obsess over those lyrics, like probably not to an unhealthy degree, but borderline, because the pace
Mhm.
of the lyric and the pace of the rhyme scheme in the lyric communicates so well the mental state of Igor, the character that Tyler is. Like, you can read. I mean, look, I have like 2 pages of thoughts that I wrote about it, so you can find that there. I just wrote about McGee's stuff, and I wrote more about like me starting to learn to play guitar on that.
Okay.
So yeah, expect probably the next one I'm thinking is going to be about Gasoline by Haim, the band HAIM,
Okay.
which I've been obsessing over. Women in Music Part 3, which was 2021 album. A friend of mine told me to listen to it, and I finally listened to it, and I'm in love.
You gotta listen to Raw.
Raw?
Yeah.
I will.
From Devon Torres, because like yo, it's a whole storied album, but then there's a 2-part album. Because so there's a side A and a side B.
Yeah.
And then the side A is this dude and his girl's relationship, them getting together to them falling apart to them getting together. Because like you find out like he was cheating, she was cheating. They find out are going through each other's phones secretly.
Oh.
But then like that's just the first album. The second album, you find out the third person in the story, which is the guy she was cheating on him with, and everything from his perspective.
Oh, that's really cool.
So like you should probably listen to that.
I will.
But
one more
go
recent
ahead.
album that I want to draw attention to. Do you know about Catriel and Paco Amoroso?
No.
There's these Argentinian guys. They do like, I suck at genre category define stuff, but because it's like they're kind of in that, like, I wouldn't, it's not house music, but like that, like dance electronic
I like
stuff.
that. I love
But
that stuff.
they also have like a classical training. They went on NPR Tiny Desk sometime last year, I believe, and they had a fucking killer set that like blew up. And then they released Papota. I hope I'm saying that right. A couple weeks ago, which is, and there's also like a short film attached to it.
We've had this conversation.
I've talked about this with you.
And this is what and then at the same time I was saying, yeah, you got to go through the Wu-Tang Clan for a bit.
Yes, and I still do. I have to go watch the documentary. I have to do because I have a deep respect for hip hop, but I'm still an outsider.
Got you.
And I want to learn more about that, because I mean, part of my job as a writer is just to know as much as I can. Like,
You know
about
what?
as much as I can.
I got a recommendation for you.
Yeah.
I got a recommendation from you to just get you slightly caught up in an understanding way, and then you're gonna start taking notes and going down the line for history books after that. So, but on this note, we're gonna wrap this up.
Yeah.
So follow him at Jazzkoft, JAZKOFT.
You know it.
And then you can find me on any social at DOOGIFRANCHISE as Doogifranchise. And this is Show Off Season. And on that note, I'm going to say goodbye and good night.